Welcome to the Church Communications Podcast. We want to help you become a church communications expert. We understand it can be a challenging and ever-changing role because we've worked in the church too, which is why we built a community with over 25,000 church leaders that are ready to support and cheer you on. Your hosts for the show are Allred and Jahng, who want to help equip you to reach more of your congregation and community. This is the place where we'll talk shop with fellow practitioners and professionals about what's working, what's not, and what's next. Are you ready? Let's get started.
One team that's really investing in video-based small groups for churches right now is the Ramsey Plus team. They're helping people all over the country host Financial Peace University virtually. And now Financial Peace University is part of a brand new all-access membership to all of their best content, tools, and resources. So it's called Ramsey Plus. And Ramsey Plus makes it easier than ever to give everyone in your church and organization the tools they need to budget, save, and take control of their money. So you want to learn more about this system. It's really flexible, it's efficient, it's cost-effective to bring all the content from Dave Ramsey and Financial Peace University and all the other resources they produce to your community. The Ramsey Plus team has been gracious enough to pull together a webinar to really serve our community, you, the people that are listening here and part of our church communications community. So all you need to do is sign up for the webinar at daveramsey.com/CC webinar. That's daveramsey.com/CC webinar.
Well, welcome church communicators from wherever you are. Wherever you are, we would love to know where you're at. So actually, why don't you go ahead and send us a tweet? Unless you're driving, that would be dangerous. But if you're not, you should send us a tweet at Kenny Jahng, at Allred. We want to hear from you, what you're doing this week, how you're serving your church, doing it well. But today, we are talking about back to basics. Okay, so we're doing basically some Facebook group 101, basically the 3 best practices of successful Facebook groups. Really excited about this. I think that, often we jump the gun and just think that everybody knows how to run a Facebook group. Maybe because we've been doing it for so long. I'm like, yeah, everybody knows what a Facebook group is, stuff and new stuff. You just click things. And so I thought, let's go back to what it really is. So Kenny, why don't you tell us what you think about Facebook groups?
Yeah, and this is one of those things, Katie, like you and I live on the internet. This is our vocation, right. And most of the place, there are people that don't, even many church leaders are not living on the internet all day. Now, right. So just to give you an orientation, if you have a Facebook group, there is a couple of choices that you want to consider as you actually establish the group. So if you're going to establish a new group, in one of the recent episodes, we talked about different types of groups that your church really should be experimenting with and opening. But you want to decide whether your group should be private or public. Generally, Facebook groups are private, right? No one else can see the post unless they're a member of the group. But when the group is public, anyone can join it. And while in private accounts, you can actually filter people from entering the group. Like there's actually an apply to enter. If they have to enter, you can actually moderate it where you can reject people or you can accept them. You can actually even have them auto accepted and they go into the group automatically.
Yeah, and you can have them answer questions, right?
Yes.
That's something that's really important, to have them answer some questions so you'll know that they're actually a part of your church or whatever.
Absolutely. So, and those questions, you got to keep it simple, right? And you just want to ask them so that it actually provides some sort of like litmus test that they show interest in actually being part of the group. They're not just like clicking, or it's just some random people that accidentally got in. So
should you create a private or a public group, Kenny? I think is the question. What do you recommend?
I think you start with private for most things because you want it to be a safe environment that you can actually moderate and see how it's going. But there are topics that are public that you want, especially if it's external community focused, that you might want to have public groups. But as a general rule, default is start with private and see where it goes. What's the next tip, Katie?
keeping your group active. Okay, so
Yes.
people like to judge me and think that it's so funny. I can remember like being told I was not a very good social media manager, but just in the last week I did a post that has like 700 comments on it. So, like I don't know if that's good or not, but I feel like it's okay. But like how you keep your group active is by consistently posting in the group, okay, so that they know what to expect. So doing weekly threads is really important. Keeping those images and stuff very similar so people know what to expect is so important. And so consistently posting. But then another thing is just by doing some fun posts. So your topic of your group may be pretty serious. But if you don't do something that's like fun or interactive or whatever, the engagement will actually die down. And so you want to keep it top notch all the time. And so, maybe you could do like a post like, what was your Monday like? Share a GIF in the comments. Okay. Or like, it's Friday, how you feeling? Share a GIF in the comments. Or maybe like something like,
Is
we
it
were
GIF or
doing,
GIF? That's the one you can post.
yeah, is it GIF or GIF? Yes. Fight down in the comments. No, I'm just kidding. People love that kind of stuff. They want to talk about it. Comic Sans, is it terrible or is it great? Uh, so, creating some stuff that is like, I don't know, fun content, like what do you love on your pizza? It may not make a lot of sense to your overall strategy, but it does because it allows the other content that is more important to come to the top. Okay. And so creating that kind of fun content will actually keep the other stuff relevant.
Absolutely. And actually, at the end of the day, what it is, I think, Katie, is that it's humanizing your organization. People have relationships with people, not
Yeah.
with institutions. No one says
Right.
I have a relationship with an institution. So you want to make sure you're humanizing it with those types of things. And that's those common elements that everyone experiences together are the things that people chime in and they feel like, oh, we're in it together. So, okay, the third down to basics, back to basics thing that we have to talk about is control. You need to actually, at the end of the day, have some responsibility. You can't just spawn these groups and just let them spin out of control. You want to
Right.
control things that are posted inside the group, right?
Mhm.
So you want to ensure that, first of all, it's church related and that the people who are overseeing it are the only the administrators of the group are the ones that can post to it, right? Those are things that you might actually consider.
Yeah.
You want to
So,
avoid.
turning on just approval,
Yes.
request or whatever for each post, that is helpful. Is it more work on your end? Yes, but it is pretty helpful. And then maybe just getting a moderator team, right? Like getting a few people you trust to like read those posts before they're put into the group really
Yeah.
helps. And then to, create some rules, okay? And not just rules that people of what they can't do, but what they can do. Okay, like tell them what they can expect and they will try to live in those boundaries.
Absolutely.
So just
Absolutely.
like in a normal relationship, when you start, a small group, you set a tone. And so you got to set a tone. What's this group going to be about? Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be serious? Like, what are we going to talk about? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to give them boundaries so that they have freedom inside the
right.
rules that you've posted. And so I think that's great. So again, if it's a group for your church, you want to make sure that you'll have the same culture, same values, same rules of engagement. You want everyone to make sure it's safe for everybody, that it's respectful for everybody.
Right.
And so that's why you just want to have some administrators. And again, the last thing there, I think, is, as Katie said, you want to have a team there. This
Mm-hmm.
is a fantastic volunteer opportunity,
Yeah.
because it's so flexible, it's remote, and it doesn't take that much. And people are on Facebook anyway. And so again,
Right.
that's something that I think you just want to encourage people. Sometimes they look at these things as ominous and it's just another
Right.
job to do. There's so many ways to involve people and it just becomes life-serving, and your
Right.
ministries flourish as a result. So well, that's it for today. That's the back to basics. Those three, I think, pillars of things that you should think about when you're, having a group. And if your group isn't doing well, it's out of control, you're getting a lot of spam in the group, etc.
Mm.
These are the things that you might want to review with your team to see, hey, how can we institute some of these basic best practices in managing our Facebook group? You just want it to be a welcoming extension of your church community to, new people in the community, even before they step inside your church building. So, well, Katie, that's a wrap up for today. The last episode in our podcast series is an interview. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have in terms of discussion with our friends over at Dave Ramsey. I know Tim is the brand ambassador basically for the organization. He's a brilliant guy. And that last episode, I think, is going to be sweet. I'm looking forward. I wish I was part of that conversation. That thing, when you're scheduling that conversation, hopefully we'll be able to share far and wide and share the wisdom of what's behind the Ramsey brand. Katie, why don't you share with everybody, as we sign off for today, just the best way they can get in touch with us and learn more about church communications?
Yeah, you can go to churchcommunications.com. You can go to churchcommunications.com/group and join the group. We would love to have you. It's such a great, fun community. If you're not already in it, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That seems to be growing a lot these days. And we'd love to just hear you in the group. So go ahead, get in the group and tag me in a post and be like, what's up, KDR? What are you doing right now? And I'll be like, I don't know, I'm eating some Cheetos. What are you doing? I can't wait to hear from you. We love to answer questions. Honestly, it is the joy of my life to help serve churches. I think Kitty feels the same way. So why don't you just message us, let us know. Can't wait to hear from you, and we will talk to you again next week.
Thanks for listening to the Church Communications Podcast with Katie Allred and Kenny Jahng. If you liked our show today and want to learn more, you can join our Facebook group with over 25,000 church leaders. Simply search for Church Communications on Facebook. And if you liked today's episode, please consider subscribing and leaving us a review. It's the most impactful way you can help us reach more church leaders and equip them to become better communicators for the church. And finally, don't forget to check out our website at churchcommunications.com. Thanks for listening.